right, let's consider this physics question. Question 13, JAMB 1978 physics. The statements below were made by some students describing what happened during the determination of the melting point of solids. Okay, this question now, each statement now say the temperature of the solid was still until melting started. 2, the temperature of the solid rose until melting started. 3, during melting, the temperature was rising. 4, during melting, the temperature was constant. 5, the temperature continued to rise after all the solid had melted. 6, the temperature stopped rising after all the solid had melted. So this question is trying to test your understanding of change of state and then temperature change, temperature rise. So you need to revise the topic called heat capacity to understand what happens here. You need to know about heat capacity, and that will lead you to the knowledge of specific heat capacity. You also know about latent heat. It can be latent heat of fusion or latent heat of vaporization. Let me tell you what happens when a solid is heated. Let's take, for example, an ice. An ice is a solid. If an ice is heated, at first, when heat is applied to the ice, temperature will start rising. So the amount of heat that is rising, that is raising the temperature, is called heat capacity. So heat capacity is the heat that we need to raise temperature. So the temperature will start rising. Now, when the temperature now rises to the melting point of the ice, you know that ice melts at 0 degrees Celsius. At the melting point, no rise in temperature. The ice will start melting. So 0 degrees Celsius, at 0 degrees Celsius, the ice will start melting until it melts down to water completely at that same 0 degrees Celsius. So it means when ice is changing to water, no increase in temperature. You see, we started with increase in temperature when a solid is heated. Then we get to constant temperature when it is changing to liquid. Now, after changing to liquid, you know, it doesn't stop there. It's now changed to gas. So in the process of changing to gas, the temperature starts rising again. So that is how it happens for all solid. So temperature will start increasing as the heat is applied. Then when it gets to boiling to melting point, temperature remains constant. And after the melting point, after when the solid has completely melted, temperature starts rising again. So let us consider the options one by one. Option A say 2, 4, 5. Let's consider 2, 4, 5. We may be lucky, that may be the answer. 2, 4, and 5. The 2 says that the temperature of the solid rose until melting point. Of course, this is correct. So the temperature will rise until it gets to melting point where it stops momentarily before starting to increase again. So let's consider 4. 4 says during melting, the temperature was constant. Of course, the temperature will be constant during melting. So this one, it means 4 is also correct. Let's go for 5. So this 5 says that the temperature stopped rising after all the solid had melted. Oh, sorry, this is 6. So this is 5. The temperature continued to rise after all the solid had melted. Of course, this is also true according to what I explained. So it means option A is the correct answer to this question. Thank you. Bye-bye.